and welcome to Political Quickie, your political show that subjectively discusses current affairs in South Africa and all around the world. My name is Mapasika Murwa. In case you've missed it, the FF has been absolutely boss in ensuring that qualifying students are able to apply and get registered in universities this year. It's been absolutely crazy because they've been calling for, walk-ins and late applications with universities going, no, we will not allow these walk-ins and these late applications. But University South Africa announced that walk-ins and late applications will be accepted at all universities around South Africa. You know what? I understand where the universities are coming from. I mean, we look at 2012, where a mother was killed because of the stampede that occurred at the University of Johannesburg. So they've put these structures in place to ensure the safety and the peacefulness of the process. But also at the same time, being realistic about, where you are in the world, South Africa. First of all, free education was announced last year at December. So there are all these kids who didn't get to apply because they knew that they couldn't afford to study. But now you hear there's free education and also you want the piece of the pie as well. Another thing is the fact that, think of a child from the Eastern Cape, for instance, in the absolute bundus, where this kid learns under a tree, where there's no facilities to actually apply. So the fact that, a great number of black students don't have access to facilities to actually apply online, you can't then expect us not to work into these universities to not apply. That makes absolutely no sense. You know what, I'd actually take it a step further and say that's actually systematic racism because you're consciously cutting a certain group out, knowing that they do not have access to these facilities, and somehow miraculously expecting them to follow the rules. It's unreasonable. So universities, South Africa is saying that, the walk-ins are there, but however, there's an easier way to do it. So if you have access to a computer and the internet, you could go on to the Central Application Clearinghouse, Google that, and you could, insert your details in there and they will match your matric results to where there is space. So that's when you don't mind going anywhere in the country to study because they're saying they could place you anywhere. But if you want to go to a specific institution, it's better if you go and you walk in. And that's how you can get into that varsity. So no, I just want to clap hands for the EFF for actually, doing something about this whole situation because it seemed like a lot of people were just like, what can we do? But the EFF was like, nah, we are doing something. So, okay, all right, we see you. Moving on to other news, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, is waging war against fake news. He said that they are working on a bill that is going to regulate the news in the sense that in terms of social media, if you're releasing content, you have to state your sources. And in terms of news channels, the audiovisual regulator will be given extra powers to ensure that foreign channels do not attempt to destabilize the liberal democracy. So you know what? He is looking at the fact that, the past elections that have been going on across the world, there has been an attempt, of fake news on them. But also at the same time, it's a sense of you don't want to take freedom of speech away. That's the worst thing that can happen. And the media has been very important and has played a very imperative role in covering very important situations that are happening right now. Getting both sides of the story, covering Donald Trump in general, right? The Me Too campaign, the media has done a lot in terms of that. So I do understand where he's coming from because, there has been, a lot of interfering in terms of elections by fake news. But also in general, you look at news channels. News channels are not as objective as they claim to be. They're very subjective because at the end of the day, if it's owned by a human being, then it has a certain mandate that it abides by. So I mean, you just look at Russia today and you look at CNN and you look at the difference in reporting and how they use convenient facts and alternative truths to substantiate whatever narrative they're supporting. You look at South African media as well. It's the same. You've got ENCA, you've got NN7, you've got SABC. Those are the three of the biggest. And how their reporting has a certain motive and narrative based on who owns it. The SABC, propaganda for the government. You've got NN7, which is propaganda for the Guptas. You've got ENCA, which is white monopoly capital. So it doesn't matter what news channel you watch. There is some narrative that's being sold to you. So I understand where Emmanuel Macron is coming from, but also at the same time, you never ever want to take away freedom of speech. And also if you're saying that we need to state our sources, what if the source is anonymous? What then? Right? What then? Because, journalists want to protect their sources. Because if you're going to reveal who I am and I told you I want to remain anonymous, then I can't trust you anymore. I can't give you the information anymore. So it's a very tricky situation. You want to make sure that there isn't fake news, but at the same time, never, ever, ever mess with the freedom of the media to report. So very tricky. Very, very tricky. Now to international news, however, the 75th Golden Globes happened, and Oprah Winfrey received a Lifetime award. When she accepted it, she made a speech. Everybody was on their feet. People were clapping and crying. It was very hectic. She spoke about the Me Too campaign, and she spoke about how a new day is on the horizon for girls and women. It got everyone thinking about, is this, her low-key saying that she's gonna run for president in 2020? Yes, she's gonna run for president! So yeah, it's very interesting. A friend of mine was telling me that he thinks, in his opinion, that, celebrities must stay away from politics. After the whole Trump situation, he thinks they should just remain celebrities and not do anything else. I disagree. I think Donald Trump is a very special case. Donald Trump is a narcissist, he's sexist, he's racist, he's a bigot. And I genuinely think that there's something wrong with him, like emotionally, like there's something deeply wrong with him. He's in his feels 100% of the time. Like, who tweets about everything all the time, especially if you're a president? Not just that, but he's got access to this intelligence community, the CIA, the FBI, but he never seems to use them. He'd rather get his information from CBS, Fox News, and CNN, which is, like, I'm perplexed. Like, what kind of president does that? I just think there's something wrong with him. That's just my conclusion. I think Oprah Winfrey has got that potential to be president. I'm sick and tired of politicians. Them making promises and saying this is how things are gonna be, we care about the people, etc. But they actually just playing political games. I'm actually afraid that politicians are now too political to actually govern countries. So a person like Oprah Winfrey, who to me is a mixture of like Mother Teresa. She's got, that spiritual side and that giving, generous side. And she's got this Nelson Mandela side to her where she is like, let's all kumbaya, we are one, let's ride off to the sunset. But she also has this Abraham Lincoln side where she's, very smart, and still that kumbaya vibe. So I think she's a pretty good candidate, and I think she has a pretty good approval rating in the US. She still has this Oprah effect where she says something and people want to listen and want to know, what's Oprah saying, what's Oprah thinking about this. So I think she could unite the country after, the division that Donald Trump has caused. She's got that potential to unite everybody and be like, you know what, guys, let's come here, let's ride off to the sunset. And also, like, I just think that she's got this potential to know what kind of team to surround herself with. I mean, she's also got the money to get the best possible team. She could. She's got what 2 years until 2020. She can learn, how to govern a country. I mean, she's smart. Hello, you don't build a $1 billion empire from just you know. There should be some smarts in there. So I've got some faith in this whole process. I hope she runs. I mean, it would be cool for the first female president to not just be the first female president of the free world, but actually be the first black female president. So like, but, it wouldn't be bad. It would be awesome. It would be really awesome. So yeah, we'll watch out for that and see what happens. Anyways, that was Political Quickie. I love you guys. You're awesome. Use your talents to serve humanity so that you can be an Oprah Winfrey one day. Yeah, I love you lots.